Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. I hope it's Wednesday. I hope it's the right day. I feel like I don't know where I am or what's going on, but pretty sure it's Wednesday. Pretty sure I'm only a couple minutes late, so it's just after 10. I'm almost on time. For now, it's going to count as a win. Um, Gosh. Okay. So, you guys, I can't even tell you how tired and I'm exhausted I am. So please, if my words don't make sense or my sentences don't come out or, whatever else, please forgive me. Um, if you've been following along my stories, although to be honest, I have no idea how much I posted about it. I was going to say I don't think I've posted tons. You guys might think it's all I talk about. I don't know. No sense of reality here. But I'm very busy at work. I have this every year. So I'm a corporate accountant. We do the annual report. The June 30th is our year end. It takes us 3 months to make this almost 200-page document, and it takes everything out of me. Like I work until midnight, sometimes 1, sometimes 2. Most nights, not every night, but most nights. I'm going nonstop in the day. I am juggling like just 100 different things. I project manage the whole thing, so I do like a gajillion different elements. It's not even like my brain is just on one thing; it's on like all the things, and it's very, very tiring. And then at the same time, I'm a mom, so the way we're split summer holidays this year is that I've got the girls for 2 weeks right now. Then they'll be with their dad for 2 weeks the next 2 weeks, and then the week after will be a half week each. But so I'm, ferrying the kids, logistics Olympics is what I like to call it. So getting Evie to nursery every day, getting Nora to various array of camps and friends' houses, and making sure she's got the right snacks and the right lunch and the right, swim stuff or yoga stuff or whatever the stuff is that she needs. And they are pretty tired from all of that. Excited, but tired. Nora now wants to be attached to me like a koala bear whenever we're home. They need a lot from me, as 2 and 5-year-olds do. But so so to be honest, I have no time to myself. I'm in decision overload. Like I just, I have to make all the decisions about all the things at home and work. There's a lot of it's a pressure cooker basically, and it gets to be a lot. There's no denying it. So I do what I can to find. I was talking to my coach about it yesterday, to find the pockets of pleasure, and this has definitely helped me get through last year. I have forgotten a little bit this year. So she reminded me to do this, so I'm passing it on to you. That it is the small moments that matter. So she calls them pockets of pleasure. I look for the feel good in life, but it's coming back to, even if it's only a few minutes of soaking in, or even if it's not even a few minutes, even if it's 1 minute, 30 seconds, but just slowing down and connecting with what feels good can make a difference in your overall chaotic stuff. Does it mean that this whole season isn't going to be chaotic and crazy busy? No, that nobody can take that away from me. That just is what it is right now. But can it help me feel a bit less panicky, overwhelmed, wanting to melt into a puddle on the floor? Yes, it can help with that stuff. And it's temporary. So we've got 5 weeks left until our big deadline, and then another 2 weeks after that, of still pretty intense, but slightly less intense. So 5 weeks of super, super intense, and then 2 weeks of a bit less. But it's about, like I said, it's finding these ways to bring in pockets of pleasure in between. It's knowing that it's temporary, and it's sharing it. So part of, like I said, I haven't been sharing tons on my stories, but some. But I did talk about this weekend how I'd been feeling a bit overwhelmed, and how I'd been feeling like my brain was suddenly going, oh, you're a failure at everything. Like, you're no good at your job, and you're a terrible mom, and you can't possibly get through the week. And my brain was just like full out mode. And first thing I needed was sleep, which that was Sunday, so I did go to bed early on Sunday. But it was still, that feeling was still there on Monday. And then what really helped was I finally, on Monday night, I went into my coaching group, into my mastermind with my coach, and I just let it all out. I had a full out, like, here's all the things that my brain's telling me, and I feel like this, and I just let it all out about like all the awful things my brain was saying. And honest to goodness, after having a terrible sore throat for like the last 4 days and just feeling so ill, I woke up yesterday morning, the next morning, feeling like part of it had been lifted. So my sore throat was gone. I felt more calm and in control of what I was doing at work. My tripod is falling. Felt more in control of what I was doing. Just felt a lot calmer about it. And that is part of the absolute beauty of doing these things in community, is that you don't have to carry all yourself. So when people have been asking me how I've been doing, whether it's on here or like actual in-person friends, I say it's hard. I don't hide it and be like, everything's great. I tell people it's hard, but I tend to downplay how hard it is. And in the past, I thought that maybe I was downplaying it because I felt, last year in particular, I felt a bit of shame around, Lindsey, you're a life coach now. People are going to expect you to handle these things better. Like, you should have all the tools in place, and you can't possibly have a hard time because you're a life coach, and what are people going to think? And then this year, I've realized that's not what's stopping me this year. This year, I know that that's nonsense. We all have a hard time, and I can, like I said, I'm in this pressure cooker. It is tough. People don't expect me to be perfect all the time. But what's been stopping me this year almost is I absolutely do not want pity for this. Like, the worst thing is when I tell people how hard it is, and they're like, oh, wow. And like, if I can see the pity in them, or if they're concerned for me, I also don't want concern. Or like, and there's nothing anybody can do to make the work stress go away. So it's almost like I don't tell people because I don't want them to try and tell me to just fix it, or because I can't. It is going to be the next 5 weeks. That is just what it's going to be. But going into my coaching container and sharing it was just exactly what I needed, because there was no pity, there was no trying to fix it. What I got was entirely just being witnessed and held, and being, but it's mainly the witnessing. It was my coach and the other women in my mastermind group saying, Lindsey, that really sucks. Like, you're right. This sucks big time. This is a really hard period. I can see why you're struggling. I get that it's hard to get you time right now. I get that, you're yelling at your kids a bit more than you want to. I understand that this is tough. And you know what, though? You can get through this, and to find these pockets of pleasures, like I said, by those times. But mostly, we got you. You can come in here and you can vent it whenever you need to. And that, just being witnessed in that, made such a difference. It's like some of the energy dissipated. They didn't take it on for me. It wasn't like they now feel bad because it took on some of my angst. Not at all. But vocalizing this stuff out into the universe can just help some of the energy dissipate. And that is one of the absolute beautiful things about coaching, because so much of it is that way, that when you keep it all inside of you, whatever it is, so in this case it's the work and the feeling like a bad parent and all the things, but whatever it is, when you're keeping it inside of you in this tiny little tight black box, being like, I think I can handle this, even when you feel like you can't handle this, but like I can't possibly let it out for a myriad of reasons. But it's like a pressure cooker inside of you then too. And when you vocalize it to someone else in a safe space and in a safe container, it can make a world of difference. The coach absolutely can help as well, with what they have to say, with things to offer, with ways to adjust your mindset about it. But like I said, in this case, I didn't need any of that. I just needed a safe space to say it all. And that is a huge benefit of coaching, in my view, is I can say anything that's in my mind and will not get judged or shamed or pitied. I mean, come to think of it, that is one of the amazing things about the mastermind that I've been in. And somebody else mentioned a while ago too that she was sharing something like big, hard stuff from her life, and that my reaction wasn't pity. It wasn't like to, oh wow, I feel so bad for you. It was just okay, this is going on. That's big. Like, okay. And I don't know if that's exactly what my reaction was. I don't ever remember. But it whatever it was, it's just like, we hold each other in this. We know that we all go through big, tough stuff, whatever it is in our lives. And so adding that pity or that, like, even sympathy, like, sometimes I can just feel a bit icky. Whereas in these circles, we can go, okay, deep breaths. We are in this together. You're not alone in this. What do you need from us? What do you need? And being able to support each other in that sense of sisterhood and community is just amazing. So that's what's been going on in my life, I guess. Life update. Okay, then where was I going to go next? Oh yes, question time. I told you, a bit scattered. It's funny, when I switch into work mode, my brain is like, I go into work mode and I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And then I come out of work mode and I'm like, love. So, coaching question for this week. So, I got a really good question that came off the back of, so a couple of days ago, I had posted in my stories that Google Photos popped up. If you use Google Photos, it does memories. I think a lot of the apps do that these days. And it showed me a memory of like this day 3 years ago. And I shared in my stories saying, wow, like Google just reminded me how much can change in 3 years. So on this day 3 years ago, basically, I was 25 weeks pregnant with my second child, with Evie. So I had a big old pregnant belly. I had really short hair. I was standing in the back bedroom, which is now Evie's room, but was still a guest bedroom at that time. In the background of the picture was a picture of my now ex-husband. And it just had me looking at this picture going, oh my goodness, like 3 years ago, yeah, I only had one kid. I was more than halfway through my second pregnancy. I was still married. I look back at that and think, like, I didn't know. So in hindsight, things were starting to fall apart a bit at that time in my marriage, but I wasn't even really aware of it. I just thought that like things were a bit hard at the time. Other people were pointing it out though, like other people could see that we were struggling more than I could see it. And there was no way that I had any clue that we wouldn't be together less than 6 months later. Like it never crossed my mind that like what the kind of hard stuff that I was maybe sort of starting to notice at the time, that would be the end of our marriage in less than 6 months time. Like absolutely no chance did I know that. And when I posted, so I didn't post any of that when I shared this photo, I just shared that like what can change in 3 years. But the question that came up as the back of that was like, would I change things? Would I go back to that time? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. So in that time since then, it has been some of the most intense pain I have ever felt in my whole life. Definitely the most intense pain I have ever felt in my whole life. There's been times that have been really, really hard and really awful. And like I said, at that point, I couldn't even imagine that 6 months later we weren't going to be together anymore. But now, sitting here, fast forward those 3 years and looking back, even with all of that intense pain, I wouldn't go back and change it because I needed a trigger that big to do all this work for myself that has gotten to me where I am now and has set the path for where I am going. And who I am as a person, I've learned so much and I have done so much work and I have healed so much and I'm still doing so much work. And I don't think, honestly, I can't see a way that we could have made a happy marriage going forward because I wasn't willing to do what I needed to do. I wasn't willing to do what I have now done at that time. And I needed this big, massive blow up bomb in my life in order to trigger that. So where am I going with all of this? I think kind of the point there is, yes, the question was would I change, and no. And for me, like I said, I needed this big massive blow up bomb in order to finally look in me and go, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I showing up in the world? Like, how am I reacting out of the fear and out of these wounds, as opposed to like from my soul queen self? Do I think that everybody needs a big massive bomb like that to change the way they do things in life? No, absolutely not. And that's part of why I'm doing this coaching work, is I'm hoping that I can help some people get there without having to go through this like huge, blow apart your life. But also I do this work to say that even if your life does get blown up like that, or you blow up your life, it's still okay. Like, there is absolutely an other side to get to, and things are going to be okay. In fact, better than okay. Things are like so much better than okay. Aside from this year-end period that I was talking about. But yeah, so although I felt the most pain that I've ever felt in my life as like going through all of that, I've also opened up to so much more feeling, and I feel so much more happiness than I did before. I feel so much more joy and excitement and curiosity and possibility, and it has opened up so much more for me. So do I wish that we could get to all this stuff without the pain? Absolutely. And do I wish that I could shelter all of you from having to go through that? Yes, I do. Sort of. Because I actually don't want to stop you guys from having that pain in your life, because I know the growth that comes from it. It's the same with my kids. I don't think that my job as a parent is to protect them and shelter them from any bad things happening in their lives. It's to teach them that they're going to be okay when those bad things happen. It's to teach them how to get through the bad things that happen. Because on the other side comes all this amazing growth. So that was one coaching question. That was a good one. The other one, let's see how much time I've got. The other coaching question that I got was what's the hardest part about co-parenting? And I'm giggling a bit because lots of things is my short answer. But the hardest thing for me about co-parenting is actually, without a doubt, not having control over what happens in the other house, what happens, like how my co-parents over anything that he does. Now, we don't have control over what anybody else does anyway, and this was one of the problems in our marriage, is that I thought that I could control more than just me. Like, I tried to control everything in life all around me, and it's one of the big things I've learned is it's not true. But it's still, I'm so much better at it. But it's still hard that I have no control over what happens at their house. In terms of, like I said, how he co-parents or how he parents, what happens, what doesn't happen. Even stuff like, you may have seen in some pictures that Nora wears an eye patch, and it's to help her. You put it over the strong eye to give the weak eye more chance to practice getting stronger, basically. And she's supposed to wear it for 2 or 3 hours a day, and hopefully over time it will strengthen her eye and maybe even eliminate the need for glasses. That's, the long-term goal. I have no idea how much she wears it at their house. I've told them what the doctor said. They've got the patches. For all I know, she wears it 8 hours a day at their house, or maybe she wears it 0 hours a day. I don't know. And there's nothing I can do about it. Just one example that popped into my head. But it's that way. That's the case about everything. And honestly, I think that is probably the hardest part, is just that really wrapping your head around the fact that all I can control is how I parent in my house. I can give these girls, I can say the stuff I want to say. I can give them the food I want to give them. I can, whatever it is, we do things in my house the way that I think is best for them. And then I send them off and it's out of my hands. And I have to trust that whatever's happening there is what's best for them there. And I have to trust that that is part of their story and that that is going to shape and form who they are just as much as being at my house is. And I have to trust that's okay. And most of the time, I'm pretty darn good at that. Sometimes it's still a bit difficult, but that's part of it. And I can honestly say it has felt so much better since I've really come to appreciate that it's not mine to control. And so even worrying about what's happening at their house does me no good whatsoever. That is just a waste of my precious energy that I could be using on something else. But that spending all that time trying to wonder and worry what's happening at my co-parents' house does no good at all. And it's been a huge kind of weight on my shoulder to release since I've learned that. So yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Like I said, there's others. It's co-parenting is a roller coaster for sure. But it's also, I'd say we're doing pretty good overall. And we keep learning as we go. We keep moving forward. And, it all changes in time. So I think that's it. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if that answered your question or if you've got any other questions as a follow-up. Let me know in the comments. And now, so I normally have Wednesdays off to do all my coaching work stuff. I have far too much to do at work to take the whole day off, but I'm doing it at a slower pace today. That is the goal. But I do have a call with my private client later today, which I'm so excited about. So I do absolutely love my private calls. But then I'll be back to it. So if you have any comments or questions, like I said, let me know in the comments or message me. I will be back here again next Wednesday. I'll put up the little question box in my stories on Tuesday. Feel free to send a question in a message if you want instead. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. All right, see you later. Bye.